we realized we have a big number of university graduates who have no jobs. Many of them in the teaching profession, but others in other disciplines. So we came with an expanded employment program for those university graduates who have studied education or health sciences or other disciplines, so that we can expand the number of graduates we are absorbing every year. Because of time, and I have quite a bit of speech to give, let me just exemplify using those comrades who have studied education. We realized that there were about 300 plus thousand unemployed teachers. They are qualified to teach primary school, secondary school, they are unemployed. That is almost half of the number of teachers we have. In other words, we have about slightly over 300 teachers employed and another 300,000 unemployed. And every year that number is increasing. I'm just giving teaching as an example. And we realized every year the government of Kenya has been employing between 4,000 and 5,000 teachers a year. But those who are graduating are much more from our colleges. So we are increasing the number of unemployed teachers, and the opportunities we are giving them are quite small. You graduate 20,000 or 15,000, you absorb only 4,000. Over the years, the number has accumulated. So what did we do? We decided to expand the recruitment of teachers. Instead of employing 5,000 teachers every year or 4,000 teachers, we have employed in 3 years up to now 76,000 teachers. In December, in 3 years, by December, we'll add another 24,000. If you add what the government of President Ruto has employed in terms of teachers, and these are youths who have left university, they have started teaching. By December this year, we will have clocked 100,000 teachers. Since independence, between 1963 and 2022, the number of teachers in primary and secondary school employed by government was slightly over 300,000 teachers. For 60 years, Kenya had deployed 300,000 teachers. In 3 years, Kenya has employed 100,000 teachers. So the number of teachers by December, when we hit the 100,000, the number of teachers employed by this government in 3 years is almost a third. It's almost 30% of all the teachers ever employed over 60 years of Kenya's independence. That way, over time, we are reducing the number of unemployed young people in the teaching profession. I've just given teachers as an example, but we're also doing that for other disciplines. We are doing that for other disciplines. That is an example of a program that is deliberately tackling youth unemployment and reducing the number of qualified young people with no income, without jobs. So we are expanding the public sector to accommodate more graduates, not just for universities, but also for tertiary colleges. Allow me also, we realized also one of the reasons why many graduates from colleges and universities remain unemployed is because the courses they have studied are not aligned, they are not wired to fit into the demands of the market. You have a skill which is not required in the market. So we started by relooking at the curriculum so that for those who are your juniors in primary and secondary school, we'll prepare them for the market. When they come out of college, come out of school, they are job ready. That's why we brought in CBC. When we were campaigning in 2022, every county we stepped into, the parents of Kenya used to tell us, abolish CBC. It is burdensome, it is confused, it is giving parents a lot of responsibilities. Did you hear that noise around CBC in 2022? Everywhere they were saying, abolish CBC. Today, you will not hear a single Kenyan saying, abolish CBC. Why? Why? On the first day President Ruto was sworn into office, he brought a presidential working party on education reforms, where he gathered professors and people in education policy, and even comrades were represented in that presidential working party, students, to work on many reforms on the curriculum, but also in the funding model for our institutions of higher learning. That presidential working party is the one that helped us fine-tune the CBC curriculum. And that is why the noise has gone down. Because children today are more comfortable, the teachers are more comfortable, the parents are more comfortable. We stopped burdening students and pupils with a lot of cramming, with a lot of, just forcing so many things on a child's head. That's not necessary. And we found out that for you older people, and for us, we were pushed too much for no reason. That's why the CBC at the tender years is very soft on the children. And the final exam is a very small component. They are assessed every day, every week, every month, every term. By the time they reach grade 6, when they do the first exam in quote, it's not really an exam, it's a test. Okay? They have already been assessed 60%. So that test will only count for about 40%. They go to junior school the same. So it's a softer way so that children can grow, not just cramming science and cramming history and cramming the other subject, but they have adequate time so that in these 10 children in one class, maybe only about 5 are interested to go all the way to university to study to be engineers and lawyers and teachers. Some of them, because they have a bit of freedom and a softer curriculum, they are gifted to be sports people, to be musicians, and because of that curriculum now, we have said by the time the children leave junior school to senior school, and we are going to senior school in January 2026, the first class of senior school will be in January 2026. By that time, we'll have reduced the subjects, and the children will only concentrate on the subjects that relate to what they want to do in life, not to study everything. So we have a pathway called STEM for the children who wants to major in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-related disciplines. Those ones will go to senior school and concentrate on STEM. Senior school, others will go there to study social sciences because we still need social scientists. As much as we need engineers and doctors, we also need social scientists. We need psychologists, we need sociologists to help us live better with other members of society, and so forth. So some will study social sciences in senior school. Others will study STEM. Others will study the sports, arts, and creatives. Music, performing art, for the 3 years they are going to spend in senior school. So by the time someone goes to university, they are very clear what they want to do for those who want to go to university. So that curriculum shift is a legacy so far of President Ruto's government, fine-tuning the curriculum to make it more adaptable and flexible to allow young people to go into the future more prepared for the job market so that we reduce the number of unemployed, jobless, young people going into the future. And over time, the new curriculum will help us solve this issue, because some of those who are talented in youth and sports, in sports and arts, will very early start concentrating on those talents, and I'll tell you shortly what else we are doing to support those kind of students so that we have a whole of society approach to education. So we are reforming the education system. We realize the teachers were not enough, we increased. We realize the classrooms are not enough. We have built 23,000 classrooms in primary and secondary schools. 15,000 of them have been built by the Ministry of Education. 8,000 of them have been built through CDF, which is a national government fund. So we have better facilities. We are now commencing equipping the schools that do not have laboratories, especially schools doing sciences, and they don't have labs. There are many schools in rural areas where pupils doing secondary exams, their first encounter with a microscope in a biology exam is on examination day. And that is very unfair to that pupil. The first time to see a Bunsen burner, or what is the other thing called? A pipette. There was something called a pipette. Those things, okay? They encounter them on KCSE day. While in other schools, they have been doing laboratory work in Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, Form 4. So we are bringing equity in education. But the tertiary institutions for colleges, the middle-level colleges, we are working on the curriculum there. We have brought in the modularization of the curriculum in tertiary institutions. Modularization means if you are a young person doing business and you want to study for a skill in a TVET, you don't have to close your business and go and study. You can go to a TVET, register for one module for 3 weeks, study, get examined for that module, go back, continue your business. When you get time, you come and do another module, and over time, you, in an almost part-time way, you continue with your business, but you also get your qualification when you have accumulated enough modules. Instead of saying, if you want to be a mason or a carpenter, you must close your shop and go and study in a polytechnic or a TTI until you finish. We have also brought in something called recognition of prior learning. Many young people are gifted by God in certain technical skills. So even before they go to college, you've seen very young boys, very young girls, they can make something, and they have not gone to school. Wengine wanashikanisha wires hapo, wire alafu anakuambia, you know, have you seen those things? Just using their heads, they can tengeneza namna hii. So there are people who can even be carpenters, but they have never been in any polytechnic. Is that true? Naweza tengeneza meza, lakini hajaenda polytechnic. So we have brought something called recognition of prior learning. If you are already a mechanic, but you have no qualifications, we just take you to the nearest TVET for 2 weeks. We bring the assessors to assess the level of your knowledge, the level of your skills. In 2-3 weeks, if we are certain that you are as good as any other mechanic, we give you the certificate. And many young people today in what we call juakali, many of them have not been to any college, but they know how to work welding, dirisha, they can do something hapo. So we can recognize that knowledge. You just go to the college, we get assessors from government, they assess the quality of your knowledge and certify you. It's called recognition of prior knowledge. We have also brought in something called dual training policy and many other things which I don't have time to explain in the tertiary level. That's why you have seen in 2022 when President Ruto was sworn in, the number of TVET students across Kenya was much smaller compared to the university students. Yet, economists will tell you, you are supposed to have more students at tertiary level than those in the university. It's supposed to be a pyramid. Ours was inverted. You had almost 1 million students in universities and only 297,000 in TVETs. That's not good for the economy because you need more people with technical hands-on skills and fewer people with higher level supervisory knowledge to assist. But you need plumbers. The country is run by plumbers, electricians, masons. You know, they are the ones who do the practical things. But we had more university students, almost 1 million, than tertiary institution students, 297. Today, in 3 years, we have moved the enrollment of TVET students from 297,000 in September 2022 to 720,000 today. By December, we want that number to go to 1 million. By next year, end of 2026, we want the number of TVET students to go to 2 million. That is one way of empowering young people and making them job ready. The dual training policy, for example, makes you job ready because it combines theoretical study and practical study. You cannot graduate from a TVET unless you have been attached in a practical industry, a practical business, doing something related to your area of study. That way you become job ready by the time you graduate, and so forth and so on. So that's what we are doing at the university level. We are fine-tuning the funding model of the universities because in 2022, many universities were going bankrupt based on the model we were using to fund higher education. Today, the vice chancellors will tell you the funding model we are using is better, and many universities that were in debt are slowly stabilizing financially. We have also said, as much as there are issues around the means testing tool, we will refine the means testing tool going forward to make sure that students who cannot afford fees are not locked out of college because of the university funding model we are using. And you've seen already, the funding to higher education loans board has increased. Last year, we gave help 35 billion. This year, it is 41 billion. Comrades, power. Fire, see fire. So we are thinking about how do we make our education better, more relevant, of high quality, accessible, affordable, because that agenda is an agenda for young people. We, again, are very serious in terms of job creation. I've told you what we are doing to employ more people like teachers in the public sector. But there are certain interventions we are making in the private to make sure the private sector absorb more people, because government cannot employ everyone. And when you hear the president talking about macroeconomic stability, like lower interest rates, like a stable currency, like Kenya now has a very stable currency. When we came into office, the dollar was exchanging at 167 to the dollar. Today it's 128, 129 to the dollar. When we came into office in 2022, Kenya did not have any foreign exchange. The value of imports was too high compared to the value of our exports. Today, we have narrowed the gap between our exports and imports, and we have a very healthy, for those who are economists, there is something called a current account. We have a healthier current account because we are exporting more and importing less. One area where we were using a lot of foreign exchange to import, we were importing a lot of food. We were importing a lot of maize, a lot of wheat, a lot of rice, a lot of cooking oil. The government, in its agricultural transformation program, is reducing imports, encouraging our own production. For example, I can give the example of maize. 2022, we had produced 34 million bags. 2023, we produced 44 million bags, an additional of 10 million bags. In 2024, it rose again to 64 million bags. This year, we are expecting to harvest 75 million bags of maize. Already, we have reduced the number of maize imports by 70%. We are doing the same for rice. We are doing the same for cooking oil and edible oil. We are doing the same so that we save on foreign exchange, we reduce the imports, and we have a healthier current account, and we also have enough cash reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio is enough foreign exchange. We now have actually more than doubled the amount of current exchange we have, the number of dollars at the central bank from $5.7 billion in 2022 to currently $11.2 billion. So we are doing that so that we reduce the amount of money we spend in importing, so that the economy can be stable, so that private sector can access credit. You've seen the interest rates have started coming back from commercial banks, so that private sector can have more credit and employ more people. So there are many things we are doing to encourage private sector to absorb more young people in their businesses. But we are also saying that many young people are not looking for employment. Many young people are looking for income opportunity, either through business or through selling their talent. And that's why this curriculum is really a game changer. Because in this curriculum, we are saying those who want to be engineers and people to scientists and mathematicians, and you go to a STEM pathway, and then you become a scientist, you help us solve national problems. But those who want to study social sciences and humanities, you study humanities, you help us, we also help us to solve social problems. But those who also want to do sports and arts and creatives, specialize in them and make your money through creatives. This government, Kenya now is one of the 4 countries in Africa where Meta, the owners of Facebook and the other social media platforms, have agreed you can monetize your creative content and get paid based on your social media account. Fire, say fire. So we are making opportunities for young people. If you are in the creative space and you have a social media presence that can help you money, I have said in Kenya, in Africa, only 4 countries are in the category we are in, where Facebook, the owners of Facebook and other social media platforms, Meta, has agreed that you can monetize your social media account and get paid. And the president this month, actually at the end, the 3rd week, is going back to America to negotiate for greater monetization of social media content, and you're going to get a number of young people creating incomes and expanding the opportunities using the internet. What are we doing? We are also increasing the number of young people with skills, because we have many young people with skills, but they don't have opportunities to use those skills. Let me give one example, the affordable housing program. We are building 161,000 housing units across Kenya. The number of those units is increasing every day. We are also building 400 markets, fresh produce markets. In your own county of Embu, we are building 12 fresh produce markets. And they are in all the constituencies. We are also building hostels for comrades. We are building hostels in universities so that you can have affordable accommodation. You get a good accommodation, which you would have paid 6,000 because of the standard, you'd have paid 6,000. That same quality, which is charging 6,000 to a University of TVET student per term, per month, the government will build it, you only pay 2,000. Same high quality, so less than half of what you're paying. But also, those who cannot afford and are staying in dangerous and healthy and dignified dwellings because of your income level, instead of staying in a mud walled house or some place which is raining, is leaking, and paying 2,000 a month, you will now upgrade yourself. That 2,000 you are paying, you'll come and pay it in a place with the internet, with water, with a cooker, with the gas and everything. So it is one way of bringing dignity to our young people in universities and colleges. It's even safer. Instead of staying very far in unsafe places, the hostels have security, they have all the amenities, and so forth and so on. But more than just providing hostels and markets for those in business and affordable housing for those who want to acquire homes, we are also creating jobs using the affordable housing, markets, and hostels program. Already, the young people who are employed in the affordable housing, markets, and hostels program are 320,000. Sometimes the figure goes to 350, depending on how many active sites we have, but it is somewhere between 320,000 to 350,000 people who would not have had somewhere to get money from if the housing program was not there. And the housing program is not going to stop because the demand for shelter, for quality houses is too big. It's only that people could not afford because the mortgages were too expensive. So today, families can have a single bedroom at 2 million, 1 million, 1.5, that way. And you pay what you should have paid as rent. If the rent was 4,000, you pay it in a good accommodation, and over the years, you acquire the house. So we are trying to do that, to create dignified homes, but we are creating jobs today. Between 320,000 and 350,000 young people are earning, and that program is not going to end anytime soon. It will be there 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And for those who think this program is not important, read the history of South Korea, Singapore, and Malaysia. One of the programs that transformed the standards of living was the housing program, where, for example, Singapore, 99% of the citizens are homeowners. That is why Singapore is always #1 in the Human Development Index, because 99% of everyone has some form of a good home. And you know, a home is an asset. So when you have more Kenyans owning an asset, which is 2 million, 3 million, when you calculate the wealth of the nation, you will see where Kenya will be placed 10 years, 15 years, 5 years from today. So 350,000 young people, plumbers, masons, electricians, engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, and even for the people who have not been lucky to go to school, they are working in those sites as watu wa mkono. And nobody should degrade you because you are a mtu ya mkono. Because as we said, kazi ni kazi. As the Kenya Kwanza, UDA people, we believe work is work. And there's dignity in work. So long as you are getting an income out of it. If you can get a better job, it's okay. But in the meantime, the work you're doing is important and should be protected and assisted to grow. We want to push the number of people working in affordable housing, markets, and hostels from 350 to about 600,000 by the end of the year. We want to push it in the next 1 year to employ 1 million young people under affordable housing, markets, and hostels program. That is how you transform Kenya. That's how you respond to joblessness. You don't just say there is a problem. And when you are asked what do we do to reduce the number of people who have no jobs, you have no answer. And that is the difference between us and the people competing with us. Some of them, if you put them on this platform, they will not last for 3 minutes. Because they will just say, oh yes, Ruto must go, I don't know what. And then after that, let's assume it is okay, he must go. Okay, then how do we solve the problem of young people in Kenya? They have no answer. So, if we can push in the next 1 year the number of skilled and semi-skilled young people working in affordable housing, markets, and hostels to 1 million, then we have another program called Kazi Mtandaoni, where we are building ICT hubs for use by young people in public spaces. We already have started with TVETs and universities. We have Jitume labs in many of the TVETs. And if any TVET in Embu doesn't have a Jitume lab, let me know. We will put one immediately and put 100 computers with internet. Because I have gone to TVETs and universities with the Jitume lab. Just 100 computers. Students who are already studying. But they spend 2 hours there in that Jitume lab. Some they are doing foreign exchange trading, some are doing script writing, others are doing website design, others are doing app development, others are doing transcriber, and there are so many jobs in the internet, so long as you have stable internet and a computer, which many young people lack. So we are doing Jitume labs, we are doing ICT hubs. The Jitume labs are in institutions. And if there is any institution in Embu County without the Jitume lab, let me know. You will get one immediately. If you have one without enough computers, let me know. I will go and add computers. Yani Deputy President atashindwa na kupatiana kompyuta kwa TVET kweli? Allah. So those Jitume labs, we are also saying the young people who are not in universities and colleges, but they are digitally savvy, but they don't have money to buy a computer and connect it to internet so that they can get into digital jobs. Every market, the 400 markets we are building, including the 12 in Embu County, we are going to put on the top floor of each market a computer lab, an ICT hub with computers connected to the internet, free of charge for young people, so that the young people in Embu town, in Runyenjes, in Chicago, in Ishara, in Kiritiri, instead of wasting your time in the market because you have no facility, you can't do anything, you have some skills, but you don't have money to buy a computer, you don't have money to put internet. And instead of waiting for a politician to pay you 100 shillings so that you can go and heckle their political opponent, you use the ICT hub to go into the internet, not to insult the MCA, not to insult the governor or the president, but you go there to earn a living and look for digital jobs and take care of yourself and your family. Because if you are unhappy with a leader, you don't like your MCA, you don't like your MP, you don't like your president, the solution is not insulting them. The solution is to wait for the election and vote them out, isn't it? But before the election, make use of the time you have to build yourself. Don't waste your time in negativity. Because even if you insult them, and you don't vote them out, they will be voted in. Isn't it? Yeah. And why waste time with all negativity? Just do your thing. Just ukiangalia useme huyu anakaa kama hana habari. they cannot lead anything, and you wait during election, unamwambia out ninja. Ama namna gani jameni? Fire si fire. Kwa hivyo, we are creating, for already the Jitume labs, we are about 272 in TVETs and universities. The markets will give us another 400 spots. And these ones are for the youth who are not in institutions. They are in the marketplaces. Pale sokoni, Kiretile, badala ya vijana kukaa hapo idle, wakingojea kuchomwa, jeshi ichomwe, wanaenda kwa internet pale, wanafanya forex trading, wanafanya website design, wanalipwa hela, and they have no time for negativity. Fire si fire. Fire si fire. Noma si noma. Tuendelee na hiyo maneno ama tuachane nayo? Do we continue thinking how we resolve unemployment and job opportunities, or do you want to waste our time talking about who will lose the election and who will win the election, as if the election is today? Let's look for those who are leaders. Let's look for solutions for unemployment. Siku ya kampeni ikifika, kila mtu, hakuna mtu anatoka mbinguni, kila mtu amekuwa kiongozi. Aulizwe siku ile ulikuwa na kiti, ulifanya nini? Mimi nitakuja nijitetee, ule mwingine ajitetee, wananchi waamue, tuendelee. Mwenye anachaguliwa anakuwa kiongozi wetu, mwenye anakosa anangoja siku ingine. Ni fire si fire. Ni fire si fire. That is maturity. That's how countries mature. Our job now is not to say who will be elected and who will not lose the election. Our job now is to ask, what can we do when we are in office? What can we do for our young people? So that when the time comes for accountability, we have something to say. So we have about 185,000 young people who are making a living out of digital jobs. But that number is very small. And it is because many do not have access to computers and internet. We even have a new phenomena, those who are ICT savvy. There is a new phenomena called business process outsourcing. Those in the creatives and in the ICT sector, they will tell you. Where companies in America, in Europe, instead of traveling to work there, they employ you at the call center, for example. You are in Kenya, but their calls of that company are diverted to an office in Kenya, customer relations jobs, and other jobs, but you are based here, but working for a company abroad without leaving Kenya. For those who want, because you are educated people, there is one very successful privately run business process outsourcing, BPO, in Tatu City, which is employing 5,000 young people daily in 2 shifts, 5,000 during the day, 5,000 at night, to work for overseas companies, but they are based at Tatu City, and they are being paid for working for overseas countries without leaving Kenya. So, it is my submission, dear young people, it is possible, very possible, to expand the number of young people getting an income through the digital space, through the internet, through ICT. That number can easily rise from the current 185,000 to 1 million young people. It is possible. It is very possible. So if you have 1 million young people in Kazi Mtandaoni, ICT jobs program, then you have another 1 million young people in the affordable housing and markets and hostels program. Then you have another program called Kazi Maju. And we are saying, if you're a young person, of course the priority, we are creating jobs for you here to do, if you get it here. But for heaven's sake, as a young person, you are more flexible than older people. If you get a job abroad before the one you're waiting for here arrives, go and do that one as you wait for the one here. Because kazi ni kazi. Ama namna gani? Yeah, there are people in America today, in Europe, in Dubai, in wherever. So what has this government done to increase the number of young people getting access to international jobs? We have signed something called bilateral labor agreements, which were not there. And we have started implementing them. That's why you've heard the noise which was there about mistreatment of Kenyan workers abroad. It is lessening by the day. Because today, we have 6 bilateral labor agreements with some of the countries overseas, in Europe and Middle East. And we are negotiating another 13 countries, bilateral labor agreements with 13 other countries to bring the total to 19, almost 20 countries. In those agreements, before a young person leaves the soil of Kenya, the government of Kenya must know who is their employer, how much money are they going to earn, how will it be paid. If the person, our young person, gets into trouble there, what is the arrangement to bring them home as government? So by the time you live here, we have an end-to-end view so that you don't go there and enter into the hands of slave traders and other people who misuse you. I am happy to report, so far, under the Kazi Maju program of job creation, we have lifted 430,000 young people from Kenya to go and earn living abroad. And you know, they are not relocating forever. We are not chasing them. Just go there, work for 5 years, save some money, invest at home, come back. In fact, I encourage young people, don't go there to stay permanently. So before you go, if you are a young man, you must get a girlfriend here before going. Or a wife. If you are a girl, get a boyfriend before you go, or a husband. Then you go, so that you sikae sana after. And then also invest home. Diaspora remittances have increased in the last 1 year from $4 billion to $4.95 billion. So there is profit in working abroad, those who can go and work and invest at home. Again, 430,000, that number is not ambitious enough. We can easily push the number of young people working abroad in good jobs, well paid, well protected legally through bilateral labor agreements. We can get that number to 1 million young people, Kazi Maju. So if we can continue with the momentum, 1 million job for affordable housing markets and hostels program, young people in the skills sector. We get another 1 million Kazi Mtandaoni program. We get another 1 million Kazi Maju program. And then for the young people who may not have education, a good education because of challenges, they left school early. We have said that program, which used to be called Kazi kwa Vijana, Kazi Mtaani, tumeirudisha. Sasa tunaita Kazi Mtaani Climate Works. In every county, in every sub-county. Instead of staying idle, you go and work with your hands. At the end of the day, you get your 500 shillings. In a week, it is 3,500, 4,000. In a month, it's 16,000. It is money. It is better than staying. It's better than staying doing nothing. Yeah, people say, oh, kazi, vijana, sijui kazi. Kazi ni kazi, and there is dignity in work. If you get your 15,000, 16,000 every month by working with your hands, what is the difference between that money and someone who is employed as a clerk in an office earning 15,000? Is there a difference? Si pesa ni pesa. Kwani yako imeandikwa mtaani? Si ni pesa jameni? Whatever the person working in an office is doing as a clerk, you will also do it with the work of your hands. Ama namna gani jameni? So we are going to start with 200,000 young people. I hope we can increase it to almost 500,000 for the semi-skilled and unskilled jobs through Kazi Mtaani Climate Works. Good people, dear Kenyans. That is how you connect the dots of the conundrum and the challenge that is youth unemployment and lack of opportunities. There are young people who are already in business. I said here we have youth in business here. It doesn't matter the type of your business, transport sector, retail sector, it really doesn't matter. Biashara ni biashara. We are introducing now a program called Nyota for you. Young people between 18 and 35 years, men and women, youth who have a business. There is a program called Nyota, which is going to start on 18th of September, in 3 weeks. It is going to be launched by the president in the whole country. And that program will identify 70 micro businesses in every ward in Kenya. 70 businesses run by youth. That's why it is called Nyota, National Youth Opportunities Towards Advancement. So we look at every ward and look at youth-led businesses or youth-run businesses, 70 of them per ward. They will be trained on bookkeeping, record keeping, and how to manage